You guys, I just want to say thank you. This is probably our last meeting, and then we'll talk about a follow-up probably in December or January that we'll work on. But I just want to, first of all, thank everyone for getting up early and getting this information out to people. I know some don't show up, but we do shoot it out and have it available for any member who calls about it, because there are people still struggling. I think what we're I want to start out, Jack. I thought maybe, Jack, you could start out today as the leadoff hitter and welcome everybody. I know, Jack, one of the things that we just talked about last week with your team was this rising COVID cases that are exploding across the country, which adds to another crisis, which is the wildfire impact. So what do you think of COVID's on the rise, and then we got the presidential transition going on?
Yeah, not much in the news, Tim. Certainly, yeah. And the Dodgers won the World Series, Tim.
Oh my God, Mary, get the season started.
But, yeah, so much going on. We had really thought that there would be a stimulus package 3 or 4 months ago, and I think it's even more problematic now. Kevin Gordon thinks that there's still a chance in this lame duck session things might be put together. But I think, and it's being played out right now, the animosity is just so deep. The United States Senate is still in limbo. It's 50 members Republican, 48 Democrat. And there's going to be this unique by Georgia state law runoff with the Senate. And if the Democrats win both seats, they'll technically have control, even though it'll be 50-50. Then the Vice President, Kamala Harris, will come in and break the votes. And so I just see, again, so much animosity. That's going to be a priority, number one, for Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Senate. And it's going to be number one for Joe Biden, so he can get all his people confirmed so that he can get legislation through that he wants, such as the stimulus. My concern has been that you're going to see the Senate be very conservative, and suddenly they're going to become deficit reduction hawks. And so I think that the large stimulus that we had hoped for, that the House passed over $3 trillion about 4 or 5 months ago, I think that's going to be more difficult to obtain. It helps that Biden has a personal relationship with McConnell, but again, they're going to be so focused, it's going to be analogous to a nuclear war in Georgia. I mean, can you imagine all the phone calls to mail and the TV? The TV has already started in Georgia on both sides for that race. And then the other item that we're watching closely is watching all the names being circulated for cabinet positions, and particularly education. A couple of people from California have emerged. Linda Darling-Hammond, I think, was the favorite. She took herself out over the weekend. And so there are a couple other people that we know and we know well, so we kind of have our fingers crossed on that. And then, yes, on the COVID, the cases are rising. A couple of our large counties are, I shouldn't use the word downgraded, but going to become purple again, it looks like, and that's going to lead to some closures that we hadn't anticipated. And so that too we have to follow and watch. And then, Tim, I'll just say in closing, and I said this a couple weeks ago, I'm so impressed with the folks you have here, the educational leaders that we have throughout the state, the heroic work that you've been able to do with the fires, and the team that you've put together. I was so impressed with the folks from the California Department of Education. Made me very proud to have the history there. They have so much background, some from OES, just really lends itself well. And as Derek was just talking about, they're anxious and inviting themselves on the phone call with you. And I think that's the exact right thing to do, and exactly what you want. So Tim, thanks for really being a big time player, the conduit to all this information. And if we continue to work together and access the right information, we have a framework. We did this for Sonoma. We've done it, for others throughout the state, and we'll be able to do it again.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, I learned something every single time I talk to these great people, and I don't know. Juan, I don't know who's your good luck charm, but I should send my Irish leprechaun over to you. You got to rub a different rock or something. because the poor guy's got, I can't imagine what you're under, the stress you're under with COVID and everything, but we really appreciate your leadership and bringing in a great team. So thanks to Lynn and everybody. I agree. Hey, is Dr. Harrington, you there?
No, Steve is unable to join us today.
Okay. I was just going to talk to him. And Mary, maybe you can do this one. Mary, I think the hardest part is to see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I talked last week to the Santa Cruz team and the Fresno Creek Fire, and they just feel like there's no ending to the ongoing issues. Even if they're trying to, they get a spark and then there's a huge setback. You've been through this now for more than 2 years with all the other disasters we had. What do you tell people about there is a light, and how do you find more light in this really darkness that Derek and everybody's up against?
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone. This is Mary Sakuma, County Superintendent of Schools. So one of the things that we had to constantly remind ourselves is that this work of recovery is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. And in the first few weeks, it's natural for us to be sort of in a sprint mode. We want to get things done. We want to make things better. We want to attend to everyone's needs. And that is natural, of course, to feel that way. But that pace is simply not sustainable. So it's really important to, have some clear goals, to find the light in the darkness by setting goals that would be things that you could celebrate. So for example, after the campfire, we were closed countywide for about 2.5 weeks or so, maybe a little bit more, but there were holidays in there. And one of the things that we did, and this was with Tim's leadership, is we set a very specific date as to when would be our first day of school. And we really made a big deal about that. And it was quite remarkable, really, when you think about the fact that all of the students in Paradise had to get situated someplace else. So it was like standing up a school district in 2.5 weeks. It was really amazing what happened. And we did it in partnership with so many of the people who are on this call, and many, many others, but really having something to hope for and to look forward to. And, initially, when we really didn't have a sense of the first day or so of just how severe the damage was, we thought, we'll be back again in a week or two. And just how serious the devastation was, we had to reset those goals. But once we had that, then we really made sure to celebrate that and celebrate any other small victory that we had. And we continue to do that. We just on Sunday was the 2nd anniversary of the campfire. And, we were really working hard to remind ourselves of all the good that has been done and all the work that still needs to be done. I will say too that, and I know I've said before on this call, it's very, very important for those of you who are going through this, that you really remember to take care of yourself. And that is something that's really, really hard to do. I know that both for Tim and me during campfire and, in subsequent disasters that we've been through, it's the last thing that we do is think about taking care of ourselves. We're very concerned about our staff. We're very concerned about our students. And we do everything we can to take care of them. But then if the leader falls, that's a real problem, right? So really important to take care of yourself and to remind others that you too are human and that you need some rest once in a while.
Thank you. Yeah, Tim has definitely pushed that on me, and I heard that, I think, from Steve or Mary, you a couple weeks ago. So thank you for that, and that's why I mentioned what I do, and my outs are fishing and horseback riding. So that's just, you have to just kind of keep on voicing that. I think that. Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good stuff. Mary, I thought another brilliant thing you did this year with everything that was going on was she put out like a all-wide staff. Tell us about, I think it was the word hope, Mary, that people post something hopeful. That was the word hope?
Yeah, we're doing a campaign called the 100 Days of Hope to take us out through the end of the year. So we post things daily about being hopeful and people's inspirational quotes, and we put it out on social media, and it's been good because other agencies and individuals have picked it up too, and it's really important. It's surprising how much of a difference that makes in your day.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Mary, one more thing, and this is for all of us, but especially for Derek. I remember, I think at some point, if you have 14 districts and like 19 charters in your own county and all that stuff, people get tired of hearing about, oh, poor paradise type of deal, right? I mean, eventually that happens where you're all focused on that. How does, you know, for Derek not to sound like, he's got to go into those county meetings and always report out, but eventually the other districts go, hey, Buttercup, toughen up, you know? So is there any suggestion you have on that? Because I know the campfire engulfed a lot of your transition as soup, but eventually other districts want to get on with business. Any words of advice on that one?
Yeah, well, one of the things that people tend to forget is that typically speaking, in a county or with neighboring counties, it isn't just the one district that is impacted. Oftentimes people who live in fire impacted or, you know, whatever the disaster might be, work in other districts, or they live in another district and work in yours. And so really it's a community-wide issue. And one of the problems with focusing just on one district that may have been the most impacted is that there's a tendency to forget, for example, with mental health supports, that the other districts have people who are hurting as well. And in many cases, and certainly in the case of the campfire, kids who were from Paradise or from Concal, the two most heavily impacted communities, they scattered and were all over our county and of course places far and wide. But you know, we really endeavored to extend supports to those other districts. So that's one piece. And then just in terms of the long-term recovery, you're right, Tim, at some point, it's just really important that all of the districts have a chance to return to some sense of normalcy and as soon as possible, because you know, we have kids to educate, and of course in this time of the pandemic, it's just that much more difficult. So yeah, there were complaints at certain times about, hey, don't forget about us. Don't forget you have all of these other districts and charter schools who need your attention, need your support. And so as a county leader, we certainly want to have that in our lens all the time, but also as a district leader, understanding that while you're in the middle of the crisis, you know, the world is continuing to go on, and while you want to leverage every opportunity in support of your own district, to always be mindful that others are out there also probably struggling too.
Wow, really good advice. Hey, I'd like to quickly turn over to CDE. Any updates you have? Anything you want to share out? I can't see your faces because I'm on my internet's down, but Leslie, Juan, Joe, you guys want to speak out at all?
Well, I'm going to have to excuse Juan today. He has a conflict in his schedule, but Leslie, Jake, and I are here to answer any questions. The only updates I have were regarding Siskiyou County, and I think we kind of already went over that today, and we're going to go over that more on our next meeting. But Leslie or Jake, do you guys have anything else that you know of?
Yeah, I think just for purposes of the recording, kind of for those who might be watching later, you know, Project SERVE is the one disaster recovery grant available at this time from the U.S. Department of Education. As Siskiyou is learning and Fresno has learned and Butte and Sonoma are very familiar, There's a pretty informal process to that grant. So any LEAs or county offices of education who'd be seeking that funding on behalf of their impacted districts should reach out, and we'll connect you directly with the U.S. Department of Education. And I know Siskiyou will be having their call later this afternoon with them. So it's all looking positive in that area. In terms of other federal grants, as we discussed previously, that would require a new congressional authorization. So we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier today.
And the best way to contact you, Leslie, your email or phone number for people who are watching?
Folks can reach out to Joe if he doesn't mind. Just tee him up there, joanderson@cde.ca.gov.
Yeah, I'll put my my cell in the chat as well.
Great. Thank you.
And I just want to thank everybody.
Corey, can you get that number for me? Yeah, that's great. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just saying thank you everybody for inviting me here today. And just I think, you know, one of the gaps that I'm seeing within, especially at the county level, is knowing your local emergency management before the disaster. And this is kind of maybe for the people that are like Leslie was doing, maybe you're hearing this later, is creating that relationship with your local county operational area emergency management. And also for purposes of, you know, the behavioral health piece and all the other components that we don't think about, your medical and health operational area coordinator, which is the representative at the public health level of emergency management. So that person, knowing those two people, having a relationship with them before the disaster allows you to have that connection to reach out for resources, which oftentimes during a disaster, we need things right away, but we don't really necessarily know the process for doing it. And knowing your public health and your emergency management in the county is going to have that resource requesting relationship and process in your grasp before you need this stuff. And it will allow also to communicate what resources you think you'll need in a disaster, so that the county knows that if there's a fire, what kind of resources can they prepare to lean forward to provide during an emergency. So it's all encompassing, all encircling, having that relationship beforehand.
Wow, that's a really good tip. Are those positions on a website, or do you have to like track it down statewide?
You know, we're currently in process of developing a list of resources. We are using the CSSA recovery document, and we're going to be developing kind of our own checklist that people will have. And I think that we might be trying to tie in those resources into that list. If not, yes, those are available online, and you can just, I mean, really anyone can Google, you know, county, you know, Santa Cruz County Emergency Management, or Siskiyou County Emergency Management, or Siskiyou County Public Health. And then if you do that, the person that will pop up, usually, especially in the smaller counties, it's going to be the public health officer, is going to be the Mohawk. And so having that, it's one in the same, and sometimes it might be the director of the local EMS agency will be the Mohawk. So it goes from county to county, but I'm sure if you reach out to them before a disaster, they'll let you know who's who.
That's great.
Yeah, I got a meeting with.
I'm going to piggyback on that, Tim, if it's okay. And
Yeah.
one of the first things I did after taking office is I pulled together a meeting of emergency management coordinators from our local county. And that was a really great opportunity to have a short debrief, but also to really check in and start to develop relationships. And of course, sadly, in Butte County, it wasn't long before we had to operationalize some of those relationships. So that, Jake, that's just really great advice. And every county is organized a little differently. I know in my career, I've been in 3 different counties, and every place you go, it's just a little bit different. So just important to really know your local county. One other thing that I just wanted to add to that is it's really a good idea as a group of schools within a county is to understand what resources you already have that you may be able to offer in times of crisis. An example of that was during the Oroville Dam evacuation crisis. Oroville Union High School District loaned some buses and drivers to the sheriff's office so that they could evacuate the jail. And if you don't think that was one of the strangest rides on a school bus, you know, that was very, very important. And that was a resource that we could offer as schools to our local law enforcement area jurisdiction. So having a really good sense of what assets exist in a county is part of the job of your county Office of Emergency Services, but it's really important to, as a school district and as a county schools group, to remind them that you have something to offer as well, that you're bringing things to the table when a crisis happens.
That's great stuff. You know, Mary, I got a meeting with Karen Staff Walters, a phone call later today. I think she should invite these guys to one of your CSSA meetings to tell every county soup and work with you on having those at their fingertips, because clearly everybody scrambles after the disaster hits to know these people, and really good. That's a really good tip. I appreciate it. One more thing. Anything from OES?
I don't see Lynn on here right now.
Okay. Hey guys, on a takeaway, tomorrow I have a meeting with the schools in Oregon that were wiped out, and they're just meeting with me regularly. I was wondering if CDE would like to join us to just listen to what they're saying. They're really struggling with the federal paperwork and what to do. So I don't know if you guys are available. I can send you the link to the meeting. It's at 12 tomorrow. So, you know, J, and L, I don't know if you're available or not, but it'd be great to talk to them. They're just, you know, they're like rookies. You know, they're trying to figure things out. One district in particular is really upside down. So I'll send you the link. If you can join me, let me know. I'd love to have you join us and talk to the folks in Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, that's outside of our jurisdiction, but we'd be happy to share what knowledge we have. If you can send it to me and Jake, that'd be good. I think Leslie's got her plate full with some other stuff she's working on right now.
Hey, Leslie, is there the greatest leadership tool is delegating. It takes you a while to learn how to do it, but once you get that down, isn't that a good feeling?
It's a good feeling. It's a hard one. And some of these things I really am hesitant to let go of, even though I know I'm like, go into capable hands. I did have one other thing to share. I'm going to put a couple of links in the chat and then I'll describe what they are. So we know that in Siskiyou County, one of the, frontline issues is mental and behavioral health, both for students and for staff. So I've been having some discussions with our mental health consultant at the CDE, and she's recommended some resources from Wellness Together. You may have seen during COVID, we've hosted several webinars with them. They have some really great resources and are also doing work in the telehealth space. So they have some resources for students and for staff, and I'll put those links into the chat, but that is something we're pursuing, and they'll be joining us on the next Siskiyou call. So we're really excited about that.
Cool. What days are Siskiyou calls?
Our next call is it's a week from today. Wednesday.
Oh, great. Okay.
No,
great.
a week from yesterday. I lost that day for the holiday.
I'm also going to put a link in the chat. This is just a reminder about the National Center for School Crisis and Bereavement that is led by Dr. Schoenfeld. And so I'll put that link in the chat for everybody again.
Oh, wow. That's great. What's the title of the article again?
It's the National Center for School Crisis and Bereavement. That's led by Dr. David Schoenfeld.
Also, I went ahead and put in the chat for everybody the EMS, the Emergency Medical Services Authority list of medical and health operational area coordinator by county. So if you weren't curious of
Great.
who your county medical and health operational area coordinator is, click on that list and look it up.
Oh, that's awesome. We will definitely push that out. That's great. Yeah, it's interesting, you guys. It seemed like our whole career has been about school safety, school shootings, and boy, have we gotten away from that and focused in on these wildfires and COVID and everything. It's interesting how the pendulum swings. And thankfully there's no school shootings, but there's still a lot of pressure on you guys to help keep our schools safe and secure. So again, much appreciated. Any parting comments from anybody? Derek, you want to give us a parting comment? He will go on his horse.
Parting comment. Well, every Thursday about, what time is it? 8:30 when I get off the our call, I start pacing, and it all comes. And I'm saying this as a positive because my second.
I know, but it's an anxiety. I'm sure. Yeah, it's like when your mom gave you an extra chore on your chore list.
Yeah. My brain is full every Thursday morning, but it's about
good.
Staff, and it's about support staff. Even though both my secretaries lost their homes, they see me pacing after 7:30 Thursday meeting, and they recognize that, and it's a positive because they say, "Okay, here's a coffee," or "Hey, go take a walk," or we are recognizing each other, amidst this crisis of support, and that is a key to, organization being successful, making sure you are on to, your list of goals. And that is just a positive that I see. I mean, we reach out to each other, and they're amazing staff that are dedicated to this institution and education.
Oh, that's so great, man. Hey, what's the name of your horse, by the way? Give us something to laugh at. You got a good name for your horse?
No, they're just all, well, there's one Poco and, there's one Nick. I was writing Nick. So
Nick.
Yeah, just Nick. He's a Pasifina. So he has a beautiful gait. So it is the smoothest ride, even better than I just lost it. Now you put me on the spot. But anyway, you can, with that, you can hold a glass of wine or a beer, and you don't spill it with their gait, if you are trotting.
All right. Well, on that note, that gave me a good laugh. I've never seen a horse rider with a glass of wine, but I'm sure you've done it before. All right, you guys, thanks so much for your time. And again, I'll get back to you as we kind of think about maybe start of the year, have a couple of meetings checking in on everybody. So have a great day, and thanks for being on, and stay safe.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
See Project Serve at 2.